Next up, Mr. Richard Hector. How are you, good sir?
Doing good, my friend. Doing good. And
Doing
you?
very well. Doing very well, man. Couldn't always a great day when you're working here at Extreme Networks, I say.
No curveball questions like you hit Titania
Oh
with,
man, no
okay?
promises. Okay, you're gonna get even crazier questions just because you asked that. But no, Hector. You just joined us, right? You came back. You were with Aerohive as my SE, which was phenomenal. We saw great success there, and it was sad to see you go, but it was great to have you come back after the acquisition, come back to Extreme and rejoin us. So really, for you, what key factors played in your decision to come back?
Yeah, so like anybody, Jared, when I go to work at a place, I want to have fun. I want to work with interesting products and technologies, build relationships and that kind of thing, right? That's all true for me as it is with anybody, I think. But the reality is I have two kids in
Right.
college and I've got to pay for those college tuitions. So a key factor for me was going to a place that afforded me an opportunity to earn decent money. Let's just keep it real. That's part of what we do this for is to earn money. So that was a key factor. It wasn't the top factor, but it was one of the top three, I should say. Beyond that, as you said, or as I said in the introduction, I had spent 20 plus years as an engineer. I made the decision over time that I would eventually transition to more of a business focus, more of a sales focused role. But I made the agreement with my wife that I wouldn't take on such a demanding role until such time that the kids were out of the house. Well, this past August, the youngest one, we are not empty nest, so she's in college. So the timing was right. So I looked for an opportunity with an organization that I knew and that I trusted, and more specifically with people like yourself that I knew and that I trusted, that I could make a transition into a business role. So the timing was good, the opportunity was good, and here I am.
Awesome. Absolutely. And man, can't tell you how good it is to have you back. And not only that, back on my team and getting to work with you every day too. So it's just such a blessing. And so, coming back on for our attendees, right? There are a lot of folks here, hopefully, that are thinking in their minds right now, oh my goodness, I need to apply. I've got to be a part of this amazing company. What do I got to do? Like, oh my goodness, look at these people. They're having fun. This is great. There's, amazing events going on. So for you coming back, what did that interview process look like, right? If you could share a little bit about your experience, just so that our audience can kind of get an idea of what that interview process looks like, so that they can mentally prepare themselves for hopefully applying for a position here.
Yeah, good question. So, as you said, I was coming back to an organization that I previously worked for. So, and more specifically, coming back to work for an individual who I had previously worked with. So, one might conclude that because of that prior relationship, my interview process was somehow going to be easier. And in fact, one would be incorrect.
Okay,
Because,
okay.
yeah, just like with my kids, I'll use my kids as a reference a lot because I miss them. But just like with my kids, right? I am probably tougher on them, and my expectations of them are higher than they might be of somebody else, right? Because I love them more than somebody else, quite candidly. So similar to that expectation, coming back to work with and for this individual, he raised the bar and level of expectations for me going through the interview process. So that was one degree of difficulty. A second degree of difficulty was the fact that I was transitioning from an SE or a technical role into a business role, right? That added another layer of complexity. And in fact, I made sure that I redoubled my efforts to be more prepared for this interview than probably any in the past. Historically, I would have probably relied upon my background and my knowledge as an engineer. And while I always think I'm going to come and put my best foot forward, in some respects, you kind of rely on habits, right? Whereas with this role, I was putting my A game on. So I had to conduct a 30, 60, 90-day business plan, which I recorded on a Zoom session live with my prospective manager. Obviously, I had to interview with people like yourselves, my prospective teammates. to ensure that my head was in the right place, right? If I was going to make this transition from being an engineer into more of a business focused professional, they wanted to make sure that I was vetted in that regard and that I knew and I was making this transition for the right reasons, not just money, but that I could focus on the mission that the company had set out and help achieve that mission. So that was kind of how my process went. All in all, it was a good process. Obviously, I'm here, so I think it went
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. And my goodness, what a transition, right? I remember our interview together. You mentioning that, just like it really truly is different, and you had to step outside of your comfort zone to try something new. And kudos to you for being brave enough to do that and take that journey and make that step, right? But I think it's important for our audience to realize that as well, that perhaps you may be in a current position where you're at your current company. You may be comfortable there, but there may be that little inkling, that spark inside you that says, I would love to try something new. You may go to our career page and see a position that maybe you don't have today, but you would like to go after. I think Hector's story is, very inspirational, as it's possible. It can happen. You put your best foot forward, you prepare, and my God, Hector, did you prepare for your interviews? I was myself blown away. And you can go and get that, right? You can come and get that position here at Extreme. So, man, what a phenomenal story. And again, kudos to you, and so glad to have you back. Since joining, Hector, what's something that you've enjoyed the most about coming back here at Extreme?
I think one of the big things is the idea that I could join a team that was relatively small. So it gave me the opportunity to um, make an impact and have that impact be almost immediately felt, right? I think within the first 30 days, certainly if not the first 45 days, I was given a platform to present to the entire sales organization, right? Speaking specifically about some changes in motions that we could take to improve our ability to sell a specific set of products and solutions to our customers. So again, this happened very, very early after I was hired. It was a platform I was given to really enjoy some early successes, and that helped to boost my confidence, right? So it's those kinds of opportunities, and there's been many, many more since then that I appreciate about being here at Extreme.
Right. No, absolutely. I feel like Extreme is so good at taking someone's strength and allowing them a platform to share that strength internally, right? If you have a good idea, I know you and I, we've been on several calls, and your presentation that I still use to this day for conversions and things like that, right? Ready for now, ready for the cloud, ready for the future in regards to Site Engine. It's just so phenomenal. And as soon as that people were made aware that presentation that you had created was available, it was like, man, boom, this is going company wide. We're gonna have a pitch contest. But I feel that that's a great recurring theme about Extreme, is that Extreme and management here, from our CEO all the way down the line, they embrace our employees' strengths. And they like to showcase them strengths and give us a platform to let our peers know, so that they can get value out of our strengths, right? And we can help and shine and continue to grow and be successful as a company. So no, absolutely, that's phenomenal, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think it's one of the best things that Extreme does here, especially from an executive management standpoint. In regards to inclusion and diversity here at Extreme, Hector, what are some things that you've enjoyed in that respect? I know you've, of course, joined my subcommittee for recruitment and retention here, and such a blessing to have you on our subcommittee. But from that standpoint, from the diversity and inclusion standpoint, from a cultural standpoint here internally, what's something that you feel is a great strength of Extreme, and is there anything that you would change, do differently in regards to our internal initiatives on D&I?
Yeah. So this is an interesting one, because of late, it seems to have become fashionable for organizations to kind of jump aboard the diversity and inclusion train, if you will, right? So I'll be candid. When I looked at Extreme and I heard about these initiatives, while I wanted to jump in and believe them, I had a degree of skepticism,
Right.
right? I heard the talk. I wanted to ensure the company was walking the walk. And I can tell you since joining the organization that my wildest expectations have been exceeded,
Awesome.
right? And I'm here, I'm on this panel, and I look around at the talent that exists within the organization. I look at leadership from our CEO on down,
Right.
right? The company, this is a mission that the company believes in. Not the company, the individuals, not just the company, but people here believe in. It's not just about being black at Extreme. I'll go back to what Tanya said. There's many, many ERGs that exist within the organization, and we're just looking to bring in the absolute best talent to the company of all stripes. Embrace that diversity, embrace those differences, celebrate those differences, and then harness that to make Extreme the company that it has the capacity to be. So I'm humbled to play a small role, however small it may be, in that opportunity, in that journey, if you will. And I think that our best days are ahead of us, not just as an organization, but specifically as a black person and as a black community. I believe our best days are ahead of us, and I'm committed personally to doing everything I can to ensure that that becomes a reality.
My God, amen, amen. Thank you so much for that, and I couldn't agree more. That on the statement of the best days are ahead of us, and I know when we were interviewing you, that degree of skepticism that you did have was real and warranted, right? Because, like you said, even in this event, with this audience listening to us speak, right? It's I guarantee you this has got to be way too good to be true. How much did they pay these people to get on here and say these things, right? I know there's got to be a couple folks out there thinking that in the back of their mind, but to hear you say that, right, just helps to further validate everything that we're saying, and that Extreme truly does walk the walk on diversity and inclusion, and not just for Black and African Americans, for all races, colors, creeds, cultures, individuals, right, genders, right? As we embrace that and leverage that diversity as a strength, because it truly is. And once companies, there's so many studies saying that once companies truly embrace diversity, that they see a huge uptick in success. Sometimes upwards of 30 to 40% increase of productivity and revenue, right? Because by helping to aggregate everyone's different cultures, values, strengths, perspectives, right? You are able to be more of a dynamic company, more worldly, right? And just like we say, when organizations are they're worldwide. We're a worldwide, global, publicly traded organization, right? And being global, means that we have to not only be global in our sales, outreach, solutions, our footprint, but be global in our mindset, right? Right? Just as we are in different markets across in different cultures and we deploy our solutions there, we have to be global in our thought process, in our culture here internally, in order to be successful and embrace those amazing strengths that all people bring and cultures bring into the world, right? Not just for our company. So, thank you for that, Hector, and appreciate you tremendously.